welcome to ReneMarie Stroke of Luck. I'm ReneMarie, and here's my co-host, Judy Marlowe. Hi, Judy.
Good morning. How are you today?
We're far. We're actually far. Come on. Because Dr. Kokkosis is a guest on our show, and she's got a wonderful story about how she evolved to be a vascular surgeon, and she actually takes care of the other vessels aside from the brain. And Dr. Beckulis, who we had a guest on our show with Jason, takes care of the brain, and Dr. Kokkosis takes care of the other vessels. So it's going to be very interesting. And actually, we're going to talk about a stent. And I don't know if you remember this, Judy, but Dr. Kokkosis and I were talking about this before. Is Sharon Bean? I don't remember, a long time ago when she was in the show from Madhouse TV. She shared with us how stents are up and coming.
Yes.
And how the money that we invest from our telethon goes towards the education for stents. So,
and this new procedure is called the TCAR procedure.
Wow. And we're going to talk to Dr. Kokkosis about why it's new, like how it's new. So it's very, very interesting and really, really important to share that information with everybody. Because like we were talking about in the green room before, is something you may be healthy now, but in our lives, as you grow older, something will happen eventually. You don't know what it is, and you need to be prepared. So this is a wonderful show and piece of information that you need to just put in your toolbox.
Yes.
You know. And the other thing is, as we spoke before, and we'll speak about this more with Dr. Kokkosis, is about that team around you that you need to build, because Dr. Kokkosis and I were talking about it before, and we'll also talk to her about this, is, the change in medical, change in who makes the decisions and how things operate. So it's going to be...
And you also have to have a healthcare proxy made, drawn up before you get ill.
Yeah.
And you have to talk to your parents about this, because it's very important. If you wait to the last minute,
yeah,
you personally will not be able to make a decision. It will be the doctors or the administrators or maybe even a judge that makes the decision on your parents' health.
Yeah, and I mean,
even on your spouse or yourself.
Because you're in your dad's brain.
Yes.
Because you were a caretaker for your dad.
Caregiver,
sorry. Caregiver. Keep correcting.
And by the way, he did not have a healthcare proxy. I talked about it 1,000,000 times.
Wow.
And he had this severe, massive stroke. And I called an attorney and got him over there as soon as possible, and he was able to sign it.
Wow.
And don't let that happen to your family.
Wow. It's important stuff. And we keep speaking about it, but we want to make sure that you understand it. Before we get to Dr. Kokkosis and we invite her on, we have a few announcements to make. Judy, you want to bring on you want to talk about this New York Senior America?
Yes.
Jim, bring up that photo for us, and then Judy will talk a little bit about Senior America.
New York Senior America is a group of women, 60. They have to start at 60 and above. It's like a sisterhood of women. It's beautiful. And they compete once a year. The pageant is about elegance, poise, their philosophy of life, how they present themselves in a gown, their background, a little of their background, and their talent. And off stage, prior to the pageant, there is an interview with the judges.
Wow.
And I understand you're going to be a judge
Wow.
in 2020.
Yes, Elizabeth came and asked me, what's Elizabeth's title?
Elizabeth Samarelli.
And what's her title?
She's a queen. I do not remember the year. I don't want to say the wrong year.
But she's the one that asked me. She asked me during the telethon, and I was like so excited.
Yes,
I mean,
we've been talking about it for a few years, and
it's
wonderful.
But you know what I find about this organization is, it's such a prime time in our lives.
Yes, it's showing that seniors are active, and they're very talented, and they give back to the community. And it's a beautiful example. They go to nursing homes. Whoever wins the pageant, whoever comes in as the queen, goes to nationals.
Right.
Okay? And each month, sometimes 2 or 3 times a month, we go to nursing homes and various other facilities on Long Island and in New York, and perform whatever our talents are.
Wow.
And this is an organization not only for New York, it's across the United States.
Wow.
Each and every state has a Senior America pageant.
Wow.
So you can look up Senior America pageant, or, for instance, New Jersey Senior America pageant, Massachusetts Senior America pageant, and learn more about it. And then once a month after the pageant, and every month of the year and for years, we have a birthday party.
Share with them that you've been a part of Senior America.
Yes, I was in the class of 2005, and I jazz danced to the music from Chicago. And it was a wonderful experience. The queen that year, Helen McCarty, had been on the Ed Sullivan Show.
Wow.
And she had a wonderful singing voice, and she went on to the district,
wow.
and the national committees.
Wow.
So she's doing a lot.
Wow.
And we've had dancers.
Yeah, we had the step dancers on our telephone.
And once a month we have a birthday party, and everybody who's available comes.
Wow.
And we celebrate everybody's birthday for that particular month.
Wow. But what I was going to say before is I think it's a really prestigious, because, you know, at this age in our lives, that we've raised our children, we've worked hard, we've had so many other things to do in our lives, and this is really a time to re-energize ourselves and to really focus in on ourselves, and to bring joy to other people, and to really bring back the esteem that we had. I think it gets I don't want to say diminished. I just want to say it gets you lose a lot of it, because during our lives we're so engaged in
the family and
work, and you know, and it's just, it really is a wonderful thing.
The most beautiful part about it is it's a sisterhood of women.
Oh my gosh.
And any women who have lost their husbands, this is a way to get together. It's a way to perform their talent if they want, meet and have lunch or dinner with various women from all the neighborhoods on Long Island and New York, and to celebrate each other's birthday for that month. I can't stress it strong enough. Yeah. It's a sisterhood of women.
It is wonderful.
And I also was a judge. I believe I was Judge Judy. And I believe it was during the 2012 pageant when Donna Dean became the queen.
But she...
who also was here on our show.
Yes, yeah, and that's what I wanted to say. I mean, because of you and leading the way, and now Virginia, and
I heard about Virginia through Senior America, that, you know, I was saying to different women that I met, if you know of anyone who had a stroke or aphasia or a head injury or something, I'd like to talk to them. And they said, Virginia Werner.
Yeah, and she came on the first telethon, and she's really been building up to be on the board now, because she's been so dedicated to our operation. But Senior America has been a gift to us. They've been really supportive of us, and I'm grateful to that they asked me to be a judge because of your thought pattern a while ago.
Well, yes, I always wanted you to be a judge.
Yes.
And when the time comes,
oh please,
I want you to be in the pageant.
If I have time,
you'll find time.
We'll see. But speaking of nursing homes, I was telling everybody in the studio before that Bobby Baby Walker, our board member, and my singing, his wife Kathy calls him my singing husband. We started our Lift Our Voices, and it really is...
You're Lifting Your Voices tour.
Yes, and it's almost like Sing for Hope in the City. I've done Sing for Hope in the City a number of times, and they're an organization, and we're an organization now that goes to hospitals and to nursing homes, and brings joy to people that can't really come out of their rooms when Bobby and I perform at the locations, which we have many times at Preakness Healthcare. So we went yesterday, and this is a God thing, that I was singing this song Somewhere Over the Rainbow, and rainbows were swirling around the room. And I have proof of that because I have photos and I have a video of it. So I hadn't have time to send it to Jim, but I know that God was really smiling down on us, on what we're doing and how we're working, and he loves music, and it just brought joy to bring us. So it was incredible. So if anybody
miracles happen.
Miracles happen. So if any hospital or nursing home would like us to do, come to the hospital and go room to room, we'd be more than happy.
And we're talking not only Long Island, we're talking New York, and we're talking New Jersey.
Well, I don't really want to New York City, only because I don't
the parking.
No, that's not it. I don't want to interfere on Sing for Hope's.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to.
So we're talking Long Island and New Jersey.
Because I didn't start this because I wanted to compete with Sing for Hope. I actually reached out to them and asked them if they could come to New Jersey.
Great.
And they couldn't. So because of that,
Great.
I said,
okay.
that's a great ministry. So I decided
and it's very
to do
important, and music and memory are very important factors when you're recovering.
These people are in a state where they're not going to get better.
And it still helps them because it brings back their memory. The music brings back the memory of what they've experienced, and you see joy in their faces.
The eyes speak volumes, and when you see the joy that you're bringing to them. There was this one woman, Susan, who just, are you going to come back? You're going to come back? And actually, I'm going to bring her a pair of earrings because she had this wall full of jewelry. And I'm like, Bobby, she sells it. So I'm going to buy an earrings from Kathy.
From Kathy.
And
that's wonderful.
So it's good. Let's move on because we want to bring Dr. Kokkosis on. The car show. Can you show the car show? The car show is next week. Judy, you want to talk a little bit about the car show?
Yes. The Gold Coast Cruisers Waterfront Car Show, Sunday, June 30th, at Glen Cove's beautiful Morgan Park, overlooking the Long Island Sound. The Gold Coast Cruisers are in their 24th year as one of Long Island's oldest car clubs. The Gold Coast Cruisers have been around since 1995. They attract all kinds of classic cars, muscle cars, trucks, street rods, antiques, along with hundreds of car spectators. The car show attracts anywhere between 500 to 800 cars or more. These cars come from all over Long Island and the metropolitan area. Each year, the Gold Coast Cruisers select several charities here on Long Island to help those in need. This year, ReneMarie Language of Love Foundation, which is a 501c3 for stroke and aphasia, is one of their recipients. Congratulations. ReneMarie is honored to begin the event by performing the national anthem, which she will be singing from the heart and soul. She dedicated this privilege to all those who have been touched by strokes and aphasia. The car show on June 30th will have live entertainment, food, games, and vendors. They also have their own 50s chick.
Yeah.
Nancy. Dressed in her 50s garb. The cars will receive special plaques for special categories, and the rain date is July 21st, but I'm hoping there will be no rain.
Forecast for next Saturday.
And for any information, go to the website, which is www.goldcoastcruisers.com. I'm going to say it again, www.goldcoastcruisers.com. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Did you pick up the photo, Jen? Okay. So we're really excited about being a part of the Gold Coast car show, but more importantly, we're going to be able to reach nearly 2,000 people, if not more, in stroke and aphasia awareness. So that is our goal. We're creating postcards that Herb is going to walk around and give out to each car. They're going to give it to we're right in the beginning where people are entering, so we'll be able to reach out to them. So that is really an honor and one of our goals and objectives. And then Judy just booked me once again at North Shore Stroke Club on September 20th.
I haven't called her to.
But that was one of the
I'm going to call her Monday. Yes.
So so we're good. So we're moving along. We're going to take a quick break. Jim is going to put up my stay tuned. I think it says we'll be right back. Photo so that you don't move. And he's going to play some music. And when we come back, we're going to be inviting Dr. Kokkosis onto the show so we can have a very important discussion about stents and vascular surgeon. Be right back.
Don't you know you'll always be my baby blue? And I'm so sorry, yeah, for what I put you through. It won't be long till I'm lying next to you. I'll always be there to give you a push on through. It's just me and you and Spider-Man, my baby blue. My baby blue. And does your mother tell you there'll always be days like this? Yeah. To her love, well, I guess it is. Yeah. It won't be long till I'm lying next to you. I'll always be there to give you a push on through. Just me and you and Spider-Man, my baby blue. My baby blue. I call to see you every day. It's the same old answer anyway. I sure hope you remember me. She can't keep you away from me, oh no. My baby blue.
I thought it was like a
My baby blue.
Are we back, Jim? Hi, welcome back to ReneMarie Stroke of Luck. We're really excited about this segment in the show, and we're really excited to invite Dr. Kokkosis onto the show to talk about the stints and prevention of strokes and those reoccurrence prevention of strokes as well. So thank you so much, Doctor, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be on the show and to meet you both.
Yeah,
It's an
we're
honor
excited. Our
to know
family
you
gets
and
bigger.
to meet you.
Thank you.
Bigger and bigger. Judy, tell us how you came across Dr. Kokkosis.
I was trying to get in touch with another doctor about the mobile unit, and then I started looking at various things, and in a newspaper I saw this TCAR procedure, and I said, I got to get to the bottom of that. And that's how I connected with Dr. Kokkosis.
Now you saw something about stents. Is that
Yes,
was that
yes. And then I started investigating it and went on the website, and I said, oh, this is going to be a great guest. I have to get in touch with.
That's good, and we're so happy that you're, open to coming on, and because I know how busy you are. But you just had a very special, a very special occurrence. Tell our audience.
Yes, I just had a baby 3 months ago, so he's getting big very fast. Very exciting change of life for sure, first child, but it's definitely something that is a good change.
Yeah. Is he a good baby? Does he sleep?
He's a good baby.
So we got you in a good time because you're kind of like rested and surgery.
I actually got in touch with the doctor prior to her pregnancy. I mean, prior to her delivery. About 4 or 5 months ago.
Yep.
Just before you took leave, so it was just perfect.
It was perfect. Oh my gosh.
Couldn't say no.
So let's start out from the beginning. Tell us, where you went to school, and tell us a little bit about your history.
Sure. So I actually was born and raised on Long Island. I went to high school out at Sachem, which is one of the larger districts in the Suffolk County area. And, it was actually a personal experience. And I think that's the type of experience that usually gets people into medicine, where my mother was diagnosed with cancer, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Oh.
And I was in high school at the time, and I really hadn't thought about medicine until that experience and the experience of meeting her oncologist, who for me, and to this day, is still one of the most amazing individuals I've ever encountered. And he was inspiring. And, fortunately, my mom, she survived the cancer. She's been in remission for 20 years now, I think.
Oh, that's marvelous.
So, thank God for that.
Yes.
But I went on to apply for medical school. And, and again, not knowing what I was going to do, I thought maybe I'd be an oncologist, being inspired by his practice and how he takes care of his patients and how my mother did. Going through medical school, I actually rotated on a vascular surgery service. Didn't even know what vascular surgery was.
What's a vascular what did you rotate on?
Vascular surgery, which is one of the specialties as part of medicine.
Okay.
And
do all the students have to take that?
No, not all the students. It's actually a very small subspecialty of surgery. Not many people know about it, and statistically, there's actually a little over 3,000 vascular surgeons in the entire country.
Wow.
So we are a very small group. And again, I wouldn't have known about it unless I actually met the vascular surgeons. And I did medical school at Stony Brook.
Oh, wow.
So they were my mentors.
Wow.
And once I, saw what it was about, and I learned that it was a specialty that treats the whole body, basically. It's, outside of the brain is neurosurgeons. The heart is cardiac surgeons, but vascular surgeons treat blockages all throughout the body. And it really interested me because it's a huge mix of patients. It's young patients, it's old patients, it's life-threatening illnesses, and even cosmetic procedures, believe it or not. But that's what really got me interested.
And we were talking about before how you never thought you would be
a surgeon?
A surgeon.
Oh, no.
It was far off your radar.
Off. No, and I don't even have physicians in my family to have the experience. Like a typical Greek American. My parents have a Greek restaurant. So that's how I grew up.
What restaurant?
In Sayville, Aegean Cafe.
We're going.
But yeah, it was just sort of, as you go through life, a door opens and you just walk through it, and you hope that.
But you have to walk through it, and that's...
You have to walk through it.
Yeah. So, I was going to ask you a question, and I forgot what it was. So you tell us, you never, how did it feel? This is what I can't understand. How do you, when you're opening somebody up?
Yeah.
I mean, and you say in different areas.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you handle that?
It's interesting that growing up, I was the kid who hated going to the doctor. I hated needles. I couldn't watch horror movies. I hated blood. And even getting into medical school, one of the first classes, the important classes, is anatomy. And the anatomy lab was so hard for me because you're working with cadavers and doing dissections to learn about anatomy. And
so what kind of anatomy do you work on in?
You need to learn about the entire body, you know, first year of medical school. So at that point, I even said to myself, my gosh, I could never be a surgeon. How do people do this? Right? And then 2 years later, my third year of medical school, I was my first day in an operating room where I observed a surgery, and it was like night and day. And don't get me wrong, I couldn't sleep the night before.
Right.
I was like, I'm going to
Very
be
nervous.
that student that passes out in the operating room, the laughing stock of the class. And instead, it was just more like a miracle. I was like, how can you actually treat someone instantly? You open a person, you keep them alive, and you fix their problem.
Wow.
It was amazing. And that was it. I was sold.
Wow. Because you want to help people.
Yeah.
I mean, that really is the bottom line, that you want to, if you have the ability to save someone's life,
Absolutely.
or the quality of their life, it's
Yes.
like, wow, that's empowering. That's empowering. So you went and you did in your third year.
Mm-hmm.
So what did you have to change your major?
Track. Not exactly. In a way, I had to sort of rearrange my schedule and then get, you know, the appropriate recommendation letters and so forth to get into a vascular surgery training program after medical school. So I was fortunate at the time. There was a new training program where it's a 5-year track in just vascular surgery.
Wow.
Traditionally, you had to do 5 years of general surgery and then subspecialize into a 2-year vascular. So it was a 7-year ordeal.
Wow.
And I was fortunate enough to get into one of these early programs at Mount Sinai Hospital in the city.
Very good.
And I mean, it was fantastic. I don't regret anything of that training. It was a great training. I did 5 years of vascular surgery, and then I was fortunate enough to be recruited back to Stony Brook, where my mentors were.
Right, and that's where you work now.
Yep.
That's
where you been there for 5 years now.
Wow. So, what was it like on your first day?
Of
work. I mean, when they recruited you back, like you're walking in.
Yeah.
I mean,
amazing. I mean, totally different, because I left as a student and I came back as somebody who was actually going to take responsibility for somebody's life. Yeah. This is really a graphic,
do you have to cut the person?
Combination. So in the field that I work in, we have a combination of open procedures where we do make big incisions, and then we also have the more minimally invasive procedures that we'll do through like little pinholes.
Right.
Which Dr. Beculus talked about. Talk to us about that, where you went in through the groin.
Exactly.
And you go up, and he goes up to the brain, but you do other...
Exactly. We can go to the arm, to the legs.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about the stents.
Yeah.
Let's talk about, what's it called? The TCAR?
TCAR.
Yeah. What does that stand for?
So it's Transcarotid Artery Revascularization. And basically what it is, it's a change in the way a stent is placed in the carotid artery. So the carotid artery is the artery in the neck that leads to the brain. It provides the blood supply to the brain. Traditionally, the way to deliver that stent has been through the groin, the minimally invasive way. The challenge with that is, and again, carotid stents have been performed for 15 years, so it's still a fairly new technology. The challenge has been that the risk of having a stroke during that procedure, which seems counterintuitive because you're doing the procedure to prevent a stroke, however, there is a risk in having a stroke during the procedure, is much higher than in an open procedure where we do, it's called a carotid endarterectomy. We actually make an incision on the neck, clean out the blockage, and then close up the artery.
That blows me away that can be done, and I don't know, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Absolutely.
So tell us.
So there were these famous trials that were done, and the results were published in 2010. So again, only 9 years ago. And the disappointment was that the results showed that the risk of stroke was almost double of that of the open surgery.
Oh my God.
So as a result of these trials, what became sort of standard of care was patients who need their carotid arteries opened would go for preferentially an open surgery. But if for some reason they were high risk, they couldn't tolerate an open surgery for whatever reason, then you would consider the stent because you had no other option. But even so, it's, again, one of those procedures where you really had to think hard about whether the stent was the way to go for that patient. Because, again, we want to prevent strokes. We don't want to cause them.
I think my father had that, now that I'm thinking it back, because he had to lay still and couldn't move his legs.
Yes.
For 12 or 12 hours, I think it is.
Yeah, well, in the past, it used to be like that. They used to put sandbags.
Yeah.
Like
He had all that stuff.
Yeah, we have some new technologies now that has reduced the time to 3 hours.
Okay.
But yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, oh my gosh, that's it. So, I mean...
But now you're going through the neck.
Yeah, so let me just give you an example. So how many strokes are we talking about here? So we're actually talking about, in 100 patients, we're talking about 4 strokes versus 2 strokes.
Explain that.
So patients that had the open surgery in this trial called the CREST trial, 2.3% had strokes during the intervention in the open surgery. So let's say you had 100 patients, that's about 2 patients. Whereas 100 patients that would have undergone the stenting procedure had 4.3% stroke rate, so about 4 patients. Now, it doesn't seem like a lot, but when you consider that the first leading cause of disability in the United States is actually stroke disability, 4 people is a lot. And if you can drop it down to 2 people, then you've got 2 more people that have been saved from this chronic disability. So when we talk about stroke, and you know that it's a big deal. So you're trying to reduce that number to 0 if possible. So this new technology called Transcarotid Artery Revascularization, what it does is it eliminates the highway to get to the carotid artery. And why that's important is that there is a risk of knocking off some disease, because whatever disease caused the blockage in the neck is present elsewhere in the arteries.
Do they need to determine that before they determine?
And can they?
Absolutely, you can. So we do scans called CAT scans, and they pretty much tell us everything prior to the procedure, so we have a good idea. So even before this technology was available, you could review the imaging and say, you know what, this patient is high risk even for the stent procedure, and we know that. But now we have the ability to completely jump over this highway and go directly to the carotid artery. And essentially what we do is we make a small incision. So it is an open procedure, but it's not a large open procedure like we would use to cut the neck from the top to the bottom. And then we're able to deliver the stent directly into the artery. So what that does is, now the data shows in the pivotal trial, which was called the ROADSTER 1 trial, came out in 2015 with the data, and they looked at 208 patients. And what they demonstrated was that in patients who were high risk, meaning these are the sickest patients, they have bad hearts, bad lungs, they couldn't have survived surgery, but they would have benefited from a procedure to prevent stroke, their stroke rate was 1.4%. So 1.4% is much less than the 4.3% 10 years ago. And that trial was the first time in history that it was demonstrated that a stent could be delivered safely. So as a result of that, the FDA, of course, got word, because this is a revolutionary change in the technology, and they fast-tracked FDA approval in September of 2016.
Well, that must have been when Sharon was talking about it, because she just, she was she was our connection to
American Heart Association.
Nice.
And she's the one that was talking about stents. So it must have been back then, because 2016 was 3 years ago. So it really must have been when she was on.
Could have been possibly 5 years ago, because I met her over.
But the passing of it, where was 2016, and that's when she knew. That's what she shared with us.
Yeah. So then, being right time, right place. I was at Stony Brook at the time, and I work with a great group of vascular surgeons there, and we were able to get in contact with the representative for the company that develops this device, and they even said to us, like, you should try this. The data's there. We believe in it, and we looked at the data and we said, yeah, this is great. And I'm glad we jumped on that bandwagon, because we were actually the first hospital in the metropolitan Long Island area to offer TCAR.
Wow. So what kind of a device is it?
So what it is it basically is a special connection. So if you imagine the blood flow to the brain goes upward. right? So if you're going to pass a wire or a stent or a balloon into the artery, if you dislodge anything, it could potentially go up to the brain with the blood flow. Now, traditionally, the way to prevent that is by putting a special filter or a little basket. So you place the little basket across the blockage. So you actually have to get it across the blockage to protect the brain.
Right.
Oh my
There's an
gosh.
inherent risk of embolization or, traveling
Well,
particles.
I'm just trying to put it two together.
Yeah.
That's why you'd have a stroke.
Right.
Because when the brain doesn't get the oxygen that it needs, it's a brain attack. A stroke is a brain attack.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So there is an inherent risk just putting in the protection device.
Right.
What this technology does is it avoids crossing the blockage. And what you do is you reverse the blood flow. So during the duration of the procedure, rather than the blood flow going up to the brain, it's pulled downward into this system of a tube that is then connected into the vein of the leg. So now you're going to ask, well, that doesn't make sense. If you're taking the blood flow on one side and you're pulling it down and it's not going to the brain on the one side, yes and no. It's only the column of blood flow up to the base of the brain. So you're not really sucking
Right.
all the
You're not
blood flow.
affecting the brain.
You still have the other artery on the other side. There's some other
Right.
collateral circulation that's providing blood flow to the
Right,
brain
right,
during the
right.
procedure. But by being able to reverse the flow, you can now safely perform the procedure, deliver the stent, do your ballooning, and any particles that get broken off actually get pulled into the device and they're captured in a filter.
Wow, that's
That's
incredible.
great. Yeah.
And who designed this?
The company that has put this together is called Silk Road Medical. Interestingly enough, the technology, the idea is not 100% novel.
What's novel?
New. There has been talk about this, and it's been written about in vascular surgery journals since 2004. And actually, one of the previous vascular surgeons who used to be at Stony Brook years ago in 2004 had this idea as well, and he published it. But unfortunately didn't patent it. So
Right.
that's the lesson.
Right.
Don't publish before you patent. But,
That's very true.
yeah. But
Oh my
there was
gosh.
this idea, but it was never sort of perfected. And
Yeah.
now it's been perfected.
Well, when people, I don't know the whole story, but they probably didn't want to steal it from. They probably thought let's investigate it more.
Sure.
And once they perfected it, that's when they
Right.
decided to patent their perfection on
Exactly.
it.
Right.
So, because you can always patent something that's different than what has been created.
I think so. I don't know much about patent law. But
Yeah. It's a legal thing, but the bottom line is that I believe that the way it happened was meant to happen. If they didn't do the initial
Agreed.
work, this one have all transpired
Right.
to be what it is.
Yeah, they did everything right.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So how many patients have you done this technology on at the hospital?
I've
Do you
done
know?
about 70 now over the past 3 years. And it's really been remarkable because we're offering this technology to patients who, we can do the open surgery, but we also know that they're frail. They have other, medical illnesses.
Right.
And if we can do this safer, then absolutely, it's the better way to go.
Yes.
Have you done this because most people would consider a stroke happening to their grandparents.
Yes.
But we know that this happens to anybody at any age. I was 26 when I had my stroke. So have you had this on any other
Like a
any
very young
age?
person, like 5 or 10 or something like that.
No, not that young. So the youngest person that I've actually treated for a stroke was actually 38, and I actually did an open procedure on her. So that's actually a good question because when you're talking about age, you also have to consider which technology you would use. So what I'll say is carotid stents, if you look at all the stents in the vasculature, actually have the best durability published. So we know that at 10 years, carotid stents are still open and they're working. And if we look at open carotid surgery at 10 years, it's also just as good. So the results are equivalent.
I
So
see.
we know that it's durable. But
for a young person
at 10 years.
at 10
That's-
10 years.
that's the most data we have.
Okay.
So if I have a patient who's 38 and I know that their life expectancy is easily more than 10 years, now I have to decide, well, what's the best thing for that person? Well, I know that good old-fashioned surgery that's been performed for 50 years probably will last her life, and that's what I offered her.
Yeah.
So there has to be that discussion too about their future and what their life expectancy is.
But let's talk about what we were talking about before with the change in the decision making for patients and how the whole thought patterns have changed in the medical field.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, what we were talking about was that, as surgeons and as interventionalists, we can do procedures. We were trained to do that.
Yes.
Right? You could train a monkey to do a procedure, right?
Well,
but the hardest thing is the decision whether or not to do the procedure in that particular person.
Right.
So absolutely, I'll see patients who have carotid blockages, and for whatever reason, they may not be candidates for any procedure. Maybe medical therapy is the best for them. But
what do you mean by that?
I mean just medications like aspirin, cholesterol medications, management of their blood pressure. That may be the right answer for them based on their current status, the literature, what research shows. So, as surgeons, we can't just be the mechanics.
Right.
We have to actually have that conversation ahead of time.
Right.
And decide what's best for the patient.
Well, isn't it now, and pardon me, I'm drawing a blank on the way that hospitals have decided to include the family in the decision making, as well as when my dad was in the hospital. Every morning he was in ICU, that this nurse practitioner who was dynamic, it was Hackensack University in New Jersey, and it was a training school, so she would bring her group together, and she invited me to be a part of that so that I knew all the details of what was happening with my father.
Absolutely.
What is that called? That's called when you invite the families to be involved with everything. There's a new thought pattern, like that they should know and be involved. I forget what it's called. And I'm sure you guys are working it because it sounds like it. But yeah, so it was important for me to make those decisions because I needed to have all the information, and they're more caring about like with in this hospital. They didn't throw us out at 8 o'clock. It was ICU. Right. We were allowed to be in the hot room with our father.
Yeah,
so
because patients need their support system. Otherwise,
Yeah, and who's going to love them more than their families?
Absolutely.
And the truth is that the hospitals and nurses have other responsibilities to obtain to. So it's beneficial to everybody to have the families there. So you did you treated a 10-year-old. No, she was 36. 38.
Yeah,
okay.
For carotid.
And is she well?
She's well, yeah.
She's well?
Doing well.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
It's incredible. So what's the future hold for, like, is there any evolution in what's going to happen in the future, or?
Yeah, I think now, obviously this is exciting because now we know that we have a procedure that we can offer patients who are elderly, who are otherwise wouldn't tolerate a major surgery, but would benefit from a life-lengthening procedure to prevent stroke. In the future, what will change? Well, currently, Medicare doesn't reimburse for carotid stents in patients that are not high risk, meaning patients that aren't very sick, that aren't very old, and so on and so forth. So what I foresee and all of my colleagues foresee is there will be a change in that, because now we know that patients probably of all risks will do well with this procedure and will benefit from it.
Right. Well, that's good because insurances are really one of our mission statements for our foundation is to help those that their insurance has run out, and it's sad that other people have.
It's sad that it's a deciding factor.
Yeah. It's sad that other people have the power to affect your life.
Yes.
And that's
without all the information.
And how could somebody that's in a room somewhere doing the, I mean, it's not their fault. They're following their procedures, but they don't know that person intimately. They don't know what's happened. Like you said before, you have to find out all the pieces to the puzzle. You have to really understand what's happening to them.
Absolutely.
And why they're that way. So it's one of our passions. That's why when, I don't know if you knew Whoopi Goldberg, she recently had pneumonia, double pneumonia.
Okay.
And she also had sepsis, and she was in the hospital, and her doctor determined that she needed like a nebulizer. I'm not sure if it was but like a nebulizer to take home, and they declined it.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So she's like, well, how could they die? And I'm like, let us on your show. I'm like, I agree. You know, like that's one of our passions. Like,
whatever you have to do, if the insurance isn't going to cover it, whatever you have to do. Well, whatever loan you have to take out, you got to do it.
But some people can't afford that, Judy.
I know, but,
so I'm just saying,
your
like,
life is more important than...
I know, but my thing is, like, why should it be up to the insurance?
It shouldn't.
If the doctor is prescribing that for you,
it should be followed through by
absolutely. I
mean, insurance companies paying.
Sadly,
for it.
I deal with this on a daily basis with my staff. I mean, we're trying to get approvals for surgeries that are either life preserving or life saving, and insurance companies will turn them down. And it's just like, don't you get it?
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And what do you do? I mean, what do you?
We usually have to get on the phone. I'll get on the phone. We have a whole appeals process. Yeah, it's rigorous, but it shouldn't be that way.
But you, as a doctor, are spending and I mean, I know you're doing it because you care for that patient and you honestly believe that it should be that way. But it's so sad that the doctors have to now get involved with insurance.
Right.
And not just do their work.
Right.
Their work is a vascular surgeon. Your work is not, and it has to do with insurance and stuff like that. And it's sad that they don't trust your associates.
Yes.
To that your voices.
Right.
I mean,
and
it's
that's
just
the key word, the trust. There's a lack of trust in our system, and it's sad.
Yeah. But on the flip side, being a business person, we can understand that people have taken advantage of, and those people that have used the system and scanned the system,
they have made it this way. Other people.
But there has to be some balance in where it's coming from, and I mean if what's the name of the hospital? If Stony Brook University Hospital Stony Brook is saying that it needs it, it should be a no-brainer as far as I'm concerned, because it's coming from a reputable institution. Right. I mean, that just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I don't know. We could talk about insurance forever. It's just so sad.
And we will.
I know. So I mean, it really is incredible that now when you go back after having your child, how do you get back into the system? Like what's the process?
Well, it'll be very easy because I know I have quite a few patients who have been waiting for me to come back.
That's good though.
Which is really nice. Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah,
Was
rewarding.
They need surgeries or
combinations, surgeries, follow-up appointments, routine things like that.
I'd wait for you.
Oh, thank you.
And I'm referring people to you even now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Yes.
No, but I mean, for better or for worse, I am in a field where patients are never going to disappear. It's vascular disease. It's everywhere. It's the patients who have diabetes, who have high cholesterol, who have high blood pressure. It's everyone.
So we were talking about the heart and the vascular. So I guess if they have blockages in their legs, do you deal with that the same as you deal with the vascular?
Yeah, so it could be either an open surgery, like a bypass procedure, like they would do for the heart, or it could be a stent. Yeah.
Very interesting. I was talking about it the other day. My daughter had clots in her lungs, and I guess she had bruises on her leg, but she just thought she had hit her. Gotten them from somewhere, and she was tired and stuff, but she didn't put two and two together, and then it was a scary.
Doctor, I'm just wondering, I've heard stories and know people who have a lot of stents. Is there a
limit
to?
Not exactly. It all.
And why would they need so many?
My father had 11.
If they had this TCAR, procedure, they wouldn't need that many stents?
Well, it depends on which area of the body you're talking about. So, for
It
example,
was in the heart area that this person had a lot.
So for the heart, there are several arteries in the heart, and unfortunately, stents anywhere in the body are not forever. So whenever we do place a stent, we always have patients on a close surveillance because we know they could close up. So if a stent narrows or completely gets blocked, that may be the reason that another stent was placed.
So how do you track whether it's closing? CAT scans?
Yeah, there's different ways. For the heart, the cardiologists could do CAT scans. Obviously, the stress tests and so forth give you an indication that maybe something's not right. In vascular surgery, we look at our stents with ultrasound. Like the ultrasound you use to look at the babies.
Right.
We actually use that to look at the arteries and veins.
Well, that's awesome, because why should you have to constantly have a CAT scan?
Yes.
I mean, a CAT scan, after my stroke, every time I was rushed to the hospital, they were afraid that they did a CAT scan.
Yes.
And I do not like when they put the dye in my arm.
Yeah.
I just, oh my God.
Why?
Because it burns as it's going up, and I would scream, and they would, and I'm like, "Kid, you knock me out." I don't like it. Just
it's rough.
And I'm like, please,
Yeah.
No, it was hard.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, the ultrasound for us in our field is our best friend. For the brain, you can't really see with an ultrasound, and you can't see the heart vessels.
You have to do an MRI.
You have to do an MRI.
MRA.
Exactly. But, for arms, legs, belly, it's great. We can look at the neck and look at the carotid stent and make sure
Now,
it's still open.
that's what they do.
And how often?
Go ahead, Judy. You're gonna.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
How often?
So usually if a patient had a carotid stent or carotid surgery, we usually will follow them the first month, and then 3 months post-surgery, 6 months, and then every year after that.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's on a routine surveillance.
That's what they do at the, I'm forgetting the name of Bernie McDavid's going to kill me for not remembering. They do scans at these, I had this company come into Wanacue, and they would do stroke prevention, and that's what they would do.
Okay.
They would do the ultrasound. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, and actually, good to know, Stony Brook does offer free screening for vascular disease. So
I didn't know
both
that.
Carotid, for aneurysms, they will look at the belly, and for the legs, for blockages in the legs. So there are free screening programs at Stony
they're
Brook.
probably all over the place, because Valley in New Jersey did it as well.
I had no idea about that.
Yeah, so for example, patients that have insurance problems and they just want to get a study to make sure they don't have the blockage.
And then what if they don't have an insurance problem? Can they still get a free?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So please let us know.
Keep me posted
where
on
can we
that.
find?
Yeah, it's on the website.
You will keep announcing it
Absolutely.
and making it public to everybody, because that's important stuff. That's life-saving.
If you could send me some kind of announcement or statement about it, we will keep talking about it on the show.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, that's, oh my God, that's incredible. That's incredible. Jim, do you have any questions? I see you over there nodding your head. And
no, I just find it all fascinating, the whole thing, because before all this, I never had any illnesses. So to learn about the vascular and the nerves, it's just amazing.
But you have a nerve. You're what
Mine
is?
I have neuropathy from my spinal cord injury.
Right.
Yeah, that's hard.
So you're going in for another surgery.
Yeah, the surgery I'm going for isn't for the neuropathy. There's nothing they can really do for that except medicine. It kind of, it works a little bit.
Wow.
So they're just trying to prevent you from getting worse.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Ay. So, oh gosh, it's 10 o'clock already. So is there anything that you would like to share with our audience, like, preventative or ways that they could bring this, or maybe they could, I know that Stony Brook is the hospital you work at, but somebody in Michigan or somebody in LA, how do they determine this? Do they do that all over the place?
Yes, it's across the country now, and actually I'm one of the teachers for this procedure across the country, which is an honor. So we have a training course. The company holds a training course once a month in Chicago, and I was fortunate to be asked to help out with that.
Oh my God,
So
that's
we teach
awesome.
the vascular surgeons all across the country. So it is across the country. There are many centers now. I think maybe it's up to 500 hospitals that offer
Wow.
this. It could be more. But yeah, it's rapidly expanding. And I mean, to give you an example, 2 weeks ago, the Vascular Surgery Society, the SVS, Society for Vascular Surgery, had their national meeting. And at that national meeting, they presented up-to-date data on this new procedure. And basically what they looked at was, now we have amassed in the database 3,500 procedures is what they looked at. So we went from 200 in the first trial in 2015 to now 3,500 that were looked at in the recent research study, and I think it's probably worldwide 5,000+ procedures have been done.
Wow.
But in that data, they looked at even first-time surgeons who are just performing this technology for the first time. They showed that the stroke rate was still 1%.
Wow.
Which
That's
goes to show
excellent.
that
That's
the
excellent.
technology is safe.
And they might even be able to improve that to
Yeah.
not anyone having a stroke.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, so if someone, I mean, this is why we have this type of show, is to bring the TCAR procedure to everybody, because if they're in a hospital and the hospital doesn't offer it to them, then they really should find out other options.
Absolutely.
We're not one to tell people
What's
what's right or wrong,
Yeah.
but you need to have all your ducks in line and
absolutely.
all your options available
Absolutely.
to you. And how can someone find out where that is, where to find that if they're
Yeah.
in a hospital and they don't have it, and so that they know where the options? How could they determine what hospital
Absolutely.
has
So the company website does have a list of all the hospitals that
Good.
have been approved.
Good.
That's the Silk Road Medical website. So any patient can go there and see, is their hospital listed? And I can offer my email too. I'm happy to answer
Offer.
anyone's
that?
questions.
Yes, we'll post
Yeah.
it on the bottom of this, but give it
it's,
to everybody.
Angela, Angela .Kokkosis, KOKKOSIS, at Stony Brook Medicine, all one word, .edu. And I'm happy to answer any questions and direct people in
That's
the
awesome.
right way.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. This
We
really
really
was.
appreciate you
Yeah.
Oh, thank
Yeah.
coming here today.
And congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What if your child wants to become a surgeon?
I'll tell them to think long and hard about it.
Yeah, but you have to make it. You gotta have a purpose in your life.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
you can't
You gotta
just.
love it.
You can't.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't just get up every morning and just go to work. I
You
don't
have
think
to enjoy what you're doing, otherwise
Otherwise, it wasn't worth it.
it's not worth it.
you have to be able to make a difference, like you're doing in people's lives. It's got to be so rewarding when after you
Definitely.
do a surgery to save someone.
Yeah.
I mean, that's got to be.
Yeah, absolutely. We all want our patients to do well. So
Yeah,
it's-
yeah. Oh gosh. So thank you for
Thank
joining
you.
us. Hope you'll
Thank
come
you.
back.
Thank you.
You're part of our family
Oh,
now.
I would
Yes.
love to.
And keep us updated. We're going to let everybody know. We're going to post the TCAR website on our website as well. And we're going to post where the screenings will be.
Yes.
We'll keep everybody updated. We'll just put where it is and put the link for your
Perfect.
hospital as well, so that everybody could try to stay safe in their lives. So
Thanks again.
thank you so much. We always blow our kisses. We're not going to be on next week unless it rains, but I think the weather's supposed to be nice.
I'm hoping for great
Yeah, I
weather.
think from now till next week we're pretty safe. So we're gonna take some videos at the car show, and we'll be back in July 6th, 7th, 6th,
July 7th,
July 7th.
we have Doreen Guma, Time to Play Foundation, and she's going to talk about emotional intelligence and self-awareness and self-expression. Spark a person to shift their life to that of a life of enjoyment.
Yeah, and we were just talking about that. So funny, right? So okay, here we go. We're gonna blow our kisses. Ready? Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Say a prayer that it doesn't.